3, 2, 1. Alright, football is the most popular sport in America today. In fact, according to the Nielsen rating scale, NBC's Sunday Night Football was the most watched show in 2013. So, if I were to tell you that the NFL is adding a new team next season, many of you would probably be pretty excited. But what if I told you that the names of the team the NFL is considering for the new team were the Jews, the Honkies, or the Orientals? Obviously, these team names are offensive, and an NFL team would never be named after any of these derogatory terms. So why is it okay for a current franchise to have such an offensive name? The Washington Redskins are a team of historical significance. This franchise has been around for almost 80 years, but we no longer live in a society that accepts racial intolerance, and for that reason, it is time for the team to change its name. Most of the audience is interested. Oh, don't read that. According to a USA Today article, many celebrities, including comedian Louis Black, President Barack Obama, and even some Redskins players such as Pro Bowl defensive back D'Angelo Hall, believe it is time for the Redskins to change their name. Today, I'll explain the historical aspects of this football team's name, why the franchise should change its name, and other motives that could possibly holding the team back from changing its name. Many opponents suggest that this is a historical name taken out of context and that the name is actually in honor to the Native American people. So first, let us look at the history of this franchise. The current owner of the Redskins, Daniel Snyder, sent out a letter to the Redskins season ticket holders that explained the name Redskins is not a label of racism, but it was and continues to be a badge of honor. Well, according to a recent story in the Boston Globe, George Preston Marshall founded the team in Boston in 1932 with the original name of the Braves, named after the Braves field where the team originally played. In less than a year, Marshall moved the team to play at Fenway Park, where he renamed the team to the Boston Redskins. After 5 years of poor performances, which many have fueled Bostonians' hatred for the team, Marshall picked up the team and moved to Washington, where the now Washington Redskins won the first league championship in 1937. Marshall was a notorious racist, according to many people, among them former NFL Commissioner Upton Bell, who knew Marshall well. The Washington Redskins were also the last NFL team to allow a non-white player on the roster, and only allowed an African-American player after political pressure from Attorney General Robert Kennedy. But even such a detailed and openly racist past, current owner Snyder was quoted in a USA Today article saying, "We'll never change the name. It's that simple. Never. You can use all caps. But it's time for this franchise to stop hiding behind tradition and history and step into the 21st century. As society evolves, our actions, social interactions, and even our language change with it. It was socially acceptable in part of our country to own people of non-white races as slaves up until 150 years ago. Women were not allowed to vote until 1920, and our country was segregated until the 1960s. According to the Associated Press, this last year, the U.S. Census Bureau announced that the term Negro will be dropped from all future census forms because the term is outdated and generally thought to be offensive by the majority of African Americans, according to recent polls. But the term used to be a socially acceptable term for African Americans. This is just one example of how language can evolve over time. Many colleges that had offensive mascots have since changed those mascots, so they will no longer be racially insensitive. These include the Stanford Cardinal, which used to be the Stanford Indians, St. John Red Storm, which used to be the Red Men, and the Miami Red Hawks, which first used to be called the Redskins. These teams changed the name because a person would not go up to a Native American and call them a red man or a redskin to their face in today's society without intentionally trying to be offensive. Is it all just history and tradition that's keeping team owner Daniel Snyder from changing the name, or is there something more motivating at work here? Unfortunately, besides some celebrities and media backlash, Snyder doesn't seem to have much to worry about. According to a report conducted by the Atlantic magazine, only 11% of the nation believes the franchise needs to change its name, while 79% believe the name is just fine. Furthermore, it is estimated that it would cost the franchise nearly $20 million just to change the name from Redskins. But should it honestly matter what the American public thinks? Shouldn't Snyder change the team name on an ethical viewpoint. After all, if the Jayhawks were to change their name, which I'm not advocating for in any way, just to be clear, it wouldn't stop me from being a KU fan, especially if it means no longer being racially offensive in the case of the Redskins. Furthermore, the NFL is a multi-billion-dollar industry, and a one-time cost of $20 million is completely affordable, especially since we are seeing many colleges changing their names, and they have much less spending money and are incurring similar costs. So to conclude, American society is evolving. We are no longer a society dominated by ignorant white men who can disregard the feelings and viewpoints of other nationalities, ethnicities, or genders. The Washington Redskins is a football franchise founded in racism that needs to change. Oftentimes, we as humans are ignorant to the feelings of others. We are not hurting ourselves, and if we are making money off of these same decisions, we become even blinder to our offensive nature. The Redskins name is a relic of the past. What may have been a socially acceptable name 80 years ago no longer has a place in our society. As many athletic teams move away from these racist terms, the Washington Redskins should follow suit before they are left on the wrong side of history. For they may reap the benefits in today, but one day in the future we will look back at the nation shocked that we ever cheered and took our kids to watch a team that embodied racism at its core.